What's going on, you guys? So today I'm going to do a pretty simple video. I'm just going to be doing an oil change on this Coleman BT200X. This seems to be just a little bit different than some of the other Coleman and other brand mini bikes. So we just want to do a really quick video and kind of show you how that's done. So we're going to come over to the right side of the mini bike, and if you look down kind of at the bottom of the engine here on the back side, you've got this little kind of a bolt here. And what you're going to need to do is get you a pair of pliers, or if you have a wrench small enough, get you a wrench, and you can see a little dimple on this kind of tube piece here. You're going to want to hold that little dimple piece down while you turn on this nut with your wrench. Otherwise, if you just turn on this nut, chances are it's going to pull this whole tube off, and your oil is going to start dripping down onto your frame, and it's going to make a horrible, horrible mess. So if you just hold some pliers or a wrench on that little dimple area right here, that'll keep this tube in place while you pull this bolt out, and it'll let the oil drain just out of the end of this tube here and into your catch can below, and you won't have any real oil to clean up other than some drippage from the end of that tube. So let's get that started and see how that goes. So you can kind of see here what I'm talking about. Just get your pliers to hold onto that dimple area and get your wrench here. Give it a good twist and it should pop right out. Alright, so we got our bolt started there, if the camera's going to focus back for me. And then you're just going to loosen that the rest of the way by hand. And that'll drain down into your catch can below, assuming you don't drop the bolt into it and make a horrible mess all over the bolt. And there we go. You can see that's pretty clean oil here. This bike is just out of its break-in period. Usually what I do, the manual I believe says to run the bike for about 15 miles and then change the oil. Usually what I do is I do that twice, and then on your third oil refill, you can leave that oil for as long as you see fit. But yeah, this is the second drain on this oil. And you can see that oil is still pretty clean, but it does still have some metal bits in it, and you want to get all those metal bits out before you leave oil in here for any extended period of time. But that's pretty much it for draining the oil. So let's go around and I'll show you how to refill it. So here's where you get to make a bit of a decision. What I recommend is, if you have bypassed the governor on your bike, I would recommend upgrading your oil to a 10W40 oil. The manual recommends 10W30, but the manual is also written for a bike that hasn't had the governor bypassed, that it's only going to top out at between 18 and 21 miles per hour. But if you've bypassed your governor, this engine is going to be revving a lot higher than it was originally intended to. So again, this is just a personal preference. You don't have to do this, but if you have bypassed your governor, you're going to be revving a lot higher. I would recommend going to a slightly thicker oil. Again, stock is 1030. I would recommend going to 1040. So to refill the oil in your bike, you're going to come down here to the bottom, and you've got this little screw here. Grab onto that screw, give it a good twist, and out comes your dipstick. And you're going to want to refill your oil through that little slot right there. Now, if you have a basic funnel, you're going to have a hard time trying to fit it in here. No matter how you slice it, it's just not going to go in. You could get it in kind of this way here if you can get it just right, but you're still going to be pouring oil absolutely everywhere. So what I recommend is getting a funnel kind of like this one. It's flexible. You can get these at Walmart for about $1, maybe $2. This allows you to kind of grab the bottom of that funnel there. If I can give you a little bit better angle, you can kind of force it in just like that. So the bottom is kind of into the engine, and it lets you kind of bend that funnel. It does kind of give you kind of a it's a little bit better, kind of a wonky, fill area, but it does work. You just kind of bend the funnel up and it'll go in. Just pour slowly so you don't kind of pour oil absolutely everywhere. If we come back to this other side, you can see just how black that oil really is. Even though it's clear, if I can focus the camera here, even though it's clear coming out of the tube there, all those kind of microscopic metal bits add up, and your oil is still going to be completely black. And again, this is after, I would estimate, probably 25 miles of use, and again, I've already changed this oil once. So I definitely recommend changing it twice before you leave it in, again, for any extended period of time, because you can see just how nasty that oil really is. The camera's not really letting me show you any of the little kind of fine metal particles that are in there, but trust me, they are there, and you don't want those floating all around your brand new engine. So these engines, this is going to include the 196cc engine as well as the 212s, as well as 212 Predators for that matter. These engines are going to take about 650 milliliters of oil. So if you buy a full quart such as this, you're just going to take it and you're going to pour the oil into the engine until you hit right about the 400 milliliter mark. Stop there, put the dipstick back in, and you're done. As kind of a side note, don't be afraid if it seems like your oil is taking forever to drain out. I've been sitting here about 10 minutes now. The oil is still coming out. You can see it's still kind of dribbling there. I did have to change out my catch pan. Don't pay any attention to that. I ended up dropping the bolt into the old one, just like I said not to do. But yeah, if this is taking absolutely forever, just be patient. It'll stop one of these days. It's just that that's a tiny little port there for all that oil to drain out of. So just give it a little bit of time and don't be too concerned if it takes forever. Alright, so once you start dripping like this, you're ready to stick your plug back in. So we'll just try to line that up there. Get that bolt started in. If you're gonna drop your bolt, this is the time when you're gonna do it. Alright, so that's in, and I'm just gonna grab a wrench and tighten that up here. Alright, so that bolt's in. I'm just going to take a paper towel and wipe that off there so it doesn't drip when we go to move the bike or anything. And now you're ready to take your catch pan and dispose of that oil properly. And from there we'll come back to the other side of the bike where we've got the funnel prepared. And we're going to dump approximately 650 milliliters into this engine. I'm not going to make you sit through all this. It's going to take quite some time with this tiny funnel. Alright, then once you've got about 650 milliliters in that engine, first, wipe off your dipstick here. Alright, now we're going to get that dipstick back in the engine. Make sure you get it all nice and snug. And you are done. You've now changed the engine in your, changed the engine. You now change the oil in your engine on your Coleman BT200X.